Good afternoon to everyone. Let me first thank you for being here, the media representatives. On behalf of the Bharatiya Janata Party, I'd like to do this press meet, and I call this the fact-checking of Minister KTR's allegations against Modi government. Well, first of all, these are three observations of mine. What Minister KTR did was, a few days ago, he addressed a professional body, an industry body called the CII, the Confederation of Indian Industry. And in that forum, he wanted to further his political agenda. This CII is a professional body which is politically neutral, and to think that Minister KTR wanted to use it as a platform to further his political agenda is completely condemnable. The second thing Minister KTR did was, he distorted facts. He distorted facts and figures of Modi government to cover his own shortcomings. The third thing he did was, he exposed his lack of knowledge in geopolitics, in economics, and in the industry itself. So let me quickly put everything together, suture it and present it in front of you. First of all, CII, as I said, is an industry body which is politically neutral. He addresses the bunch of industrialists who are politically neutral, in the sense that these industrialists have been the beneficiaries of successive governments. They have profited from Congress rule, they have profited from the TDP rule, they have profited from the Modi government and also maybe the TRS. Now you stand in front of them and blame Modi government. That is absolutely condemnable and is also quite laughable, for the simple reason that these people are, they are business people. They go with any party that helps them grow their business. Well, there's also another important thing. Some of the industrialists would have started their enterprises much before even KTR was born. Now, to think that he's used this platform is quite a sad thing. Now, let me get to the brass tacks of what happened at the meet. First of all, he started his speech by saying that Telangana is India's topmost startup. Telangana state itself is a startup, he says. Now, this is again a fact that is quite laughable, for the simple reason that he did not inherit a startup, he inherited a performing company, because Telangana with Hyderabad contributes almost 75% of the gross domestic product. And he's inherited something like that, and he says that he's inherited a startup. Well, another important thing, my friends, I would like to demystify what Minister KTR always says about the startup ecosystem of the state. Wherever he goes, whichever part of the world he visits, he portrays to the world that Telangana is a startup hub and it's a very performing state. But unfortunately, I have to present the facts in front of you. I would like to say that Telangana is a 2.2%er in the startup ecosystem. Telangana is just a 2.2%er, which means our country has 90 unicorns. What are unicorns? Unicorns are startups that have a market capitalization of $1 billion, that is 7,000 crores. But how many does Telangana have? It has just two. Till last month it had only one. Another one got added. So out of the 90, we just have two. And how does he go around telling the world that Hyderabad is the startup capital of the world. And another very important thing I'd like to say is Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, and even Chennai have gone further ahead, creating more and more startups, whereas our state is lagging behind like anything. Now, just one important statistic I'd like to share with you. If Mumbai attracted 9, on a scale of 10, 9 investment, they performed 9. If Chennai attracted 4 funding, they performed 6. If Pune attracted 4 funding, it performed 6, which means less funding but more performance by Pune. Look at Telangana. They have received funding on a 10-point scale, 6. Performance is 1. So, does KTR have any right at all to project the state as a startup capital and seek investments all over? So I want to demystify this. You ask experts. Experts are today telling that Hyderabad has fantastic talent, but Hyderabad has no product mindset. And that's the reason why they're losing out on startups. They're getting more funding, but they're not hand-holding or helping the startups. That's why it is not growing. So instead of going and marketing the place, I think KTR should really focus on helping the startups and get a real name. Recently, I was reading a report on the statistics. There's 100 emerging startup ecosystems of the world. Telangana stands at 70. It's below Chennai, it's below Pune, a tier 2 town. So KTR talking about, first of all, I have to demystify this, and as I said, it's a fact checking. If he goes around announcing that he's created a startup ecosystem and they're #1 leaders, I'd like to demystify that first. Now, second point is, Mr. KTR, in his entire speech, spoke about China. He repeatedly went on saying that, like China, India should work. Like China, Modi should enhance investments, etc. But I'd like to just bring to your notice one thing. What was the forum he's addressing? Minister KTR was addressing the Confederation of Indian Industry, which is nothing but a set of industrialists representing the private sector. He's taking the example of China. What is the economic profile of China? 60% of the industry is under state control, which means China gives very less room for private enterprise. China gives very less room or reposes less faith in the private sector. Now, how is KTR addressing a private sector enterprise, a group of industrialists in India, and talking about China, where state control is very strong? The industrialists sitting there will know that in India, we are not looking at the government holding the industry in their hands, but disinvestment, divesting is what we are doing. Recently, our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman said, we believe in private enterprise, we believe in free market. And look at KTR. He's talking to a bunch of people representing private sector enterprise, and he takes the example of China. The second thing, his obsession with China is because Minister KTR, I think, likes China's big, grandiose plans. China comes out with mega cities, mega economic development zones. He likes all that, and that's why his plans are also mega plans. Kaleshwaram is a mega plan, Mission Bhagirath is a mega plan. Everything is mega, but unfortunately, those mega projects have pushed the state into a debt trap. When I say debt trap, do you know how much the state owes? The debt is 76,000 crores. And another important thing, my friends, this is very important. Recently, KTR in the same speech said, Telangana is performing so well that our GSDP, that is gross state domestic product, has gone up 130%. And he also said the per capita income of every person in Telangana has gone up by 125%. This is absolute exaggeration. Just to tell you one fact, 3.85 crore people living in Telangana state. Out of that, 2.86 people live in the BPL category. You mean to say that per capita income has gone up 125%? No. Another important thing we should know is, look at the CAG report. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India has come out with a report, and in that they said that TRS government has fudged the data and they have presented incorrect data, and they have shown inflated revenues. How did they show inflated revenues? Because they have shown loans and borrowings as revenue. In spite of calling and telling them, correct it, they have not corrected it. So in front of industry leaders, he presents these fault data. Another important thing to know is, KTR is very obsessed with China. I want to remind him that in the year 2018, China was going through a very bad economic crisis, and it approached IMF, went to International Monetary Fund and sought funds, said, please bail us out. So what did International Monetary Fund do? It said, we'll give you money, we'll bail you out, but you don't put the money in infrastructure, don't build roads, don't build airports, don't build ports, don't build glass buildings. Put the money in good governance. I think KTR also requires that bit of guidance, because he is going exactly the same way, and in the speech recently he said that he needs to build another pharma city with 14,000 acres of land. Good governance is when he can control the effluents coming out from those pharma companies, polluting the ground. He has to ensure that this has to be managed first. Well, the third point is, KTR in his speech said that Modi government's Make in India plan is a waste plan. Now, I'd like to bring to his notice that he has to brush up his knowledge on history. First of all, that's because the world is seeing the fourth industrial revolution today. So, India has missed the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, because we were not an independent country at that time. But the third industrial revolution that happened in the early 80s and 90s, we missed it because of the government policies, the then Congress ruled policies, where they said we don't have to manufacture or build manufacturing capacities ourselves, but we can depend on other countries. That's when we started sourcing everything from Taiwan, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore. India never built any capacity. So he should brush up his knowledge, and he should know that it is only Modi that is trying to revive the manufacturing capabilities. And just to give one example, we have built indigenously our Vande Bharat Express with 100 crores. Technology is ours, and we are going to roll out another 400 very soon. Mobile phones are getting manufactured. We are just kicking up so many industrial parks for manufacturing, defense manufacturing. In fact, the important thing that we should know at this point in time is our exports to China have increased, and they are at 3,000 billion dollars. That is the amount of increase that we are showing. So I think KTR should know that. And the last and the important point that I should make to put forth in front of you, that he very openly uses words that he should not use against seniors. If he is talking about a local minister, if he is talking about another maybe IT or urban minister in another state, it's fine. But you being a minister in a small state like Telangana and talking irreverently to finance minister like Nirmala Sitharaman or even our Honorable Prime Minister, he uses words that are completely unbecoming. Now recently, he said that Minister Sitharaman has denied the Telangana state the defense corridor, and she has given it to Bundelkhand. And you know what he says for that? It's because Modi government believes that Yogi Adityanath is Upayogi. He says because he's Upayogi, which means you can use him, and Uttar Pradesh will give them votes. So that is completely wrong on his side. I have put some statistics together which I'd like to say why our defense corridor is going to Bundelkhand. First of all, let's understand Bundelkhand is an area in Uttar Pradesh that is already mature ecosystem with defense units already performing there. You have ordnance factories, you have HAL, you have several ancillary industries there. There is several MSMEs that are feeding into these big companies. There is trained manpower, etc. The other important thing is Uttar Pradesh has the largest railway network in the country with higher capacities to carry cargo. And our defense corridor is planned in 6 nodes: Lucknow, Kanpur, Jhansi, Agra, Aligarh and Chitrakoot. Why? Because it is along the Golden Quadrilateral connecting Delhi, Kolkata. So this is the most ideal place to go for a defense corridor. Why is he blaming Nirmala Sitharaman for giving it to Bundelkhand and wants to put a political agenda in front of industrialists to change their mind about Modi government? This is what we take objection to. In fact, in Bundelkhand recently, I have seen so many MOUs being signed between the state and several defense operators in the Aero exhibition, in the Defense Expo, everywhere. There are almost 25 MOUs that are being signed. So I'd like to conclude by saying that Minister KTR should control himself from giving mega hyperboles, like inflating everything, speaking in hyperboles, which is exaggerating everything. I want him to really understand what it means to look at good governance, not go into mega projects and put the state in debt, not look at China look at China as a role model. Then he should also stop himself from spreading misinformation. Friends, there is this concept called greenwashing, which is very popular in the world today. What is greenwashing? Greenwashing is telling lies about the environmental goals. So you just say that we are building lakes, we are taking care of lakes, we are growing forests. It's all lies. It's greenwashing. So I think what Minister KTR is doing is nothing but economic washing. He is trying to give false data. It's not Karuna Gopal who's saying it. It is the CAG reports that have said numbers have been fudged, inflated. So he has to stop himself from spreading misinformation and stop calling our senior leaders names, which is extremely unbecoming of a young leader. I might just want to recall or also refresh your memories that he called our national leader JP Nadda ji. He said Nadda is Adda of lies and he belongs to Erragadda. These are extremely unbecoming, and as BJP, we condemn those statements and we expect Minister KTR not to spread misinformation. And in the parting comment, or I'd like to give a recommendation to KTR. I want him to read 2 books. The first book is Factfulness, How to Consider Facts and Present Facts. It's called Factfulness. It is written by Hans Rosling. The other book that I recommend for KTR is Third Industrial Revolution. It's a Third Industrial Revolution written by Jeremy Rifkin. Very popular man, very well admired in the world. These are the people who have really understood what it means to build capacities from inside, manufacture, and produce goods in the long run, taking sustainability into account. So, I'd like to close this press conference. If there are any questions, I'd like to take.
Yesterday, KTR had asked Prime Minister to stop his PR exercise on the Ukraine issue.
Yes.
What is your take on that?
So,
he thinks that the Prime Minister is using this opportunity to get votes for him.
okay. So, for me, it looks like you see what you are, or you see who you are. So, KTR has this, he does PR exercise more than anybody else. So, if somebody is trying to be genuinely helpful, he looks at it as a PR exercise, unfortunately. So, so one thing I'd like to say here, I think there is a certain, how do I say, I mean, they're trying to portray themselves as national leaders. So, minister of a small state taking on the finance minister of the country, minister of a small state taking on the prime minister. Does he want to portray that he is he enjoys the same stature as those leaders? So I think it's just a mind game he's trying to play. So just like how KCR Garu is going all over the country to show that he is a national leader. So it's just a mind game. There's nothing there. They cannot take on, a national leader of that stature. Please. Huh.
I see this is irrespective of parties, all political leaders are talking about.
Correct.
But if you look at the fact check, nearly 23% of the total global output contributed to the supply chains and domestically as internationally was initially it was in India and China.
Right. Well, we had the.
Secondly, the zinc melting or steel, all these things are went via China, or some people got located from India,
right.
And they established their industries there. So how can we say that this first industrial revolution which happened in West or Europe, why are the people buying that?
See, if you see the timeline, by then we were invaded. We were doing, in fact, India had world's second largest trade, back then, much before we were invaded by the Mughals. So we were very strong. Then once the invasion started, the Mughals started, then the British started, by then we were plundered. So we missed those very early stages of steam engine and, those we missed. By then we were not lucky.
All those things or inventions, development happened in the West.
Yeah, we missed those because we were
Since it happened in the West, they won't recognize first industrial revolution in India or China.
Yeah, they won't recognize.
So we are buying the Western story all along.
Yeah, in the sense then because we see all along we also were deprived at that time. We never could showcase our abilities or anything. So the most unfortunate thing that happened to India at that time. So one is if you want to change the narrative, for instance, I will just give you one example. We were speaking at one economic conclave, and where people said India is an emerging economy. So at that time I had to negate, and I said that we are not an emerging economy, we are a re-emerging economy. Because we have already emerged. I mean, we had the highest, share of trade, and we had practically everything with us. It's just that we were plundered for generations and then now we are re-emerging. So, that maybe that thing has to be recorded in the history and spoken more about. Like, yeah, whatever you are resurrecting, you can say but resurrecting again, they'll say like. English. No, but please, I'm saying it's not even buying, sir. You just have to narrate it. If you can narrate it and change, definitely I'll also be with you. It's very difficult to, recast the whole story and spread it in a convincing way that everybody says the same thing. Yeah, thank you very much. So, andarki namaskaram. ఈరోజు నేను మీ ముందు ఎందుకున్నాను అంటే, మన మినిస్టర్ గారు, మన కేటీఆర్ గారు మొన్న ఒక పెద్ద సమావేశంలో మాట్లాడారు. కాన్ఫెడరేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియన్ ఇండస్ట్రీ అంటారు దాన్ని. అందరు ఇండస్ట్రియలిస్ట్ ఉంటారు. అయితే వారు ఏం చేశారంటే, వారందరి ముందు నుంచుని వారి పొలిటికల్ ఎజెండా ఫర్దర్ చేశారు. అంటే ఇండస్ట్రియలిస్ట్ అనేవారు పొలిటికల్ లీనింగ్స్ ఉండవు వాళ్ళకి. వాళ్ళు ఇండస్ట్రీలు నడుపుకుంటారు. ఏ గవర్నమెంట్ వచ్చినా ఆ గవర్నమెంట్తో పనిచేసుకుంటారు. అట్లాంటి పొలిటికలీ న్యూట్రల్ ఫోరంలో తీసుకెళ్ళి పొలిటికల్ ఎజెండా ప్రజెంట్ చేశారు మన కేటీఆర్ గారు. అది మేము తప్పు అని మేము భావిస్తున్నాం. బీజేపీ తరఫున మేము చెప్పదలుచుకుంది ఏంటంటే, దట్స్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ షుడ్ నాట్ బీ డన్. అక్కడ ఆయన ఏం చేశారంటే, ఊరికే అది పొలిటికల్ ఎజెండానే ప్రజెంట్ చేయకుండా చాలా ఫ్యాక్ట్స్ తప్పుగా ప్రజెంట్ చేశారు. ఒకటి ఏం చెప్పారు అంటే, మేము తెలంగాణను చాలా బాగా తయారు చేశాము, మా గ్రాస్ డొమెస్టిక్ ప్రోడక్ట్ పెరిగింది, వీఆర్ ద మోస్ట్ పర్ఫార్మింగ్ స్టేట్ అని చెప్పారు. అందులో నేను ఒక 2-3 తప్పులు మీ ముందు పెట్టదలుచుకున్నాను. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే, తెలంగాణ స్టార్టప్ హబ్ అని చెప్తారు. ప్రపంచమంతా వెళ్ళి తెలంగాణ చాలా పెద్దగా పనిచేస్తుంది, స్టార్టప్లో లీడరు అని చెప్తారు. కానీ అది కానే కాదు. మన దగ్గర స్టాటిస్టిక్స్ ఉన్నాయి. నేను మీకు ఒక ప్రెస్ రిలీజ్ కూడా ఇస్తాను, అందులో చూసుకుంటే మీకు బాగా క్లియర్గా తెలుస్తుంది. మన దేశం మొత్తంలో 50,000 స్టార్టప్లు ఉంటే అందులో 90 మాత్రము యూనికార్న్స్ అంటే $1 బిలియన్ వాల్యుయేషన్ ఉంటుంది. వాటికి వాల్యుయేషన్ అంటే ఒక 7,000 కోట్లు ఉంటుంది. అలాంటిది మన దేశం మొత్తం చెన్నైలో, చెన్నై, బాంబే, ఢిల్లీ, పూణే అట్లాంటి చోట్ల, బెంగళూరు మ్యాక్సిమం అక్కడ ఉంటే 90 అక్కడ స్ప్రెడ్ అయి ఉంటే ఒక 2 మాత్రమే మన హైదరాబాద్లో ఉన్నాయి. దానికి వీరు ప్రపంచమంతా వెళ్ళి మేము స్టార్టప్ ఎకోసిస్టము, వీఆర్ ప్రొడ్యూసింగ్ యూనికార్న్స్ అని అంతా చెప్పడం అంతా ప్రగల్భాలు పలకడమే. అందులో ఏమీ ట్రూత్ లేదు. అయితే అదే కాకుండా వారు ఏం చెప్పారంటే, ప్రతి మాటలో మొన్న సమావేశంలో మాట్లాడడం చైనాని ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ లాగా తీసుకుంటారు. చైనా లాగా మనం పెద్దగా ఇండస్ట్రీలు పెట్టచ్చు కదా, చైనా లాగా పెద్ద ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పార్క్స్ పెట్టచ్చు కదా. అయితే ఆయన చేసింది తప్పు అని ఎందుకంటాను అంటే, చైనా అంత పెద్ద ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ పెట్టే పెద్ద కష్టాల్లో ఇరుక్కుంది. చైనీస్ ఎకానమీ ఈజ్ అ బబుల్ అంటాం మనం. అండ్ దెర్ ఆర్ సర్టన్ థింగ్స్ దట్ చైనా డస్. రౌండ్ ట్రిప్పింగ్ అంటాం. అవన్నీ ఇప్పుడు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయలేం, కానీ ఎకనామిక్స్లో తెలుస్తుంది రౌండ్ ట్రిప్పింగ్. అవన్నీ అది ఎప్పుడో అప్పుడు ఆ బబుల్ పగులుతుంది. సో కేటీఆర్ గారు అది తీసుకెళ్ళి అదొక మోడల్ అని ఎట్లా అనుకుంటున్నారో నాకు అర్థం కావట్లేదు. అదినో కాన్ఫెడరేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియన్ ఇండస్ట్రీలో ఉన్న ప్రైవేట్ ప్లేయర్స్ అందరు ముందు నుంచుని చైనా ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఎట్లా తీసుకుంటారండి? ఎందుకంటే చైనాలో ఉన్న ఇండస్ట్రీ అంతా స్టేట్ చేతిలో ఉంది. ఇక్కడ మన దగ్గర కూర్చున్న వాళ్ళందరూ ప్రైవేట్ ఎంటర్ప్రైజ్. అంటే ఇండియా ఎంత కంఫర్టబుల్గా ప్రైవేట్ ఇండస్ట్రియలిస్ట్ని మెచ్చుకుని వాళ్ళకి ఫ్రీ మార్కెట్ ఎకానమీ క్రియేట్ చేసి మనకున్న స్టేట్ రోల్ ఇన్ ఇండస్ట్రీ వెనక్కి తీసుకొని డిజిన్వెస్ట్మెంట్లు, డైవెస్ట్మెంట్లు ప్లాన్ చేస్తుంటే వాళ్ళ ముందు కూర్చొని చైనాను పొగుడతారంటే అంత తెలుసా తెలియక నాకు అర్థం అవ్వలేదు. రెండోది మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్, మీరు ఈ విషయం ఒకటి మాత్రం అందరిలోకి, ప్రజల్లోకి తీసుకెళ్ళాలి. మొన్న జిఎస్డిపి నంబర్స్ రిలీజ్ చేసి ఆయన అందరి ముందు ఒక ప్రగల్భం చెప్పడం ఏంటంటే, జిఎస్డిపి అంటే గ్రాస్ స్టేట్ డొమెస్టిక్ ప్రోడక్ట్, అది 130% పెరిగిందని చెప్పారు ఆయన. 130% పెరిగిందిట. ఇంకొకటి పర్ క్యాపిటా ఇంక్రీజ్ అంటే ఇన్కమ్ 125% అని. ఇది ఏ విధంగానూ నిజం కాదు అని నేను కాదు చెప్పేది, సిఏజీ చెప్పింది. కంట్రోలర్ అండ్ ఆడిటర్ జనరల్ రిపోర్ట్ అండ్ 15th ఫైనాన్స్ కమిషన్ హ్యావ్ కేటగారికలీ సెడ్, వారు ఏం చెప్పారు అంటే వీరు చెప్పిన నంబర్స్ అంతా తప్పు, వాళ్ళ ఫ్యాక్ట్ని ఫిగర్స్ని వాళ్ళు మార్చారు, వాళ్ళకు అనుగుణంగా పెంచుకున్నారు. ఇంకొక విషయం ఏంటంటే రెవెన్యూస్, మన స్టేట్ రెవెన్యూస్ అని చూపించింది తప్పు. ఎందుకంటే లోన్స్ తీసుకున్నవి కూడా రెవెన్యూ లాగా చూపించాను. సపోజింగ్ నేను ఒక 5 లక్షలు సంపాదిస్తాను అంటే నేను ఎవరి దగ్గరకో వెళ్ళి ఇంకొక 5 లక్షలు సంపాదించి ఈ రెండు కలిపి కరుణకి 10 లక్షలు రెవెన్యూ అని చూపిస్తాను. కరెక్టా? అది నా స్వంతది ఆర్జితం కాదు కదా, అది అలాగా తప్పు చూపిస్తున్నారు ఆయన. సో వాళ్ళు వెళ్ళి మళ్ళా సిఏజీ హ్యాస్ ఆస్ ద గవర్నమెంట్ మీరు కరెక్ట్ చూపించండి అంటే వాళ్ళు చూపించట్లేదు. సో ఇది ఒక మహా తప్పు చేస్తున్నారు ఆయన. మూడో విషయం ఏంటంటే మన మోడీ గారి మేక్ ఇన్ ఇండియా అని జోక్లాగా తీసుకున్నారు ఆయన. ఆయనకి హిస్టరీ తెలీదు. ఇండియాలో 3rd ఇండస్ట్రియల్ రెవల్యూషన్ అంటే మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్, మొబైల్స్, కంప్యూటర్స్ ఇవంతా మనం మిస్ చేసాము కాంగ్రెస్ రూల్లో. సో అది ఆయన రెక్టిఫై చేస్తున్నారు మోడీ గారు. సో దాన్ని జోక్గా తీసుకోవడం తప్పు. ఎందుకంటే మనకి ఆల్రెడీ ఇండిజినస్గా మనం డెవలప్ చేసిన ఓన్ వందే భారత్ ఎక్స్ప్రెస్లు ఉన్నాయి, 100 crores అది. ఇన్ఫ్యాక్ట్ నిన్న మన టెక్నాలజీ చూసే ఉంటారు, కవచ్ అని, ద ఇన్బిల్ట్ టెక్నాలజీ టు పుట్ ఆటోమేటిక్ బ్రేక్స్ టు స్టాప్ కొలిజన్ అన్నీ మనమే మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్ చేసాం. ఒకప్పుడు జీఈ కానీ, ఆల్స్టామ్ కానీ, ఫ్రెంచ్ కానీ, జర్మనీ కంపెనీస్ నుంచి వచ్చేవన్నీ ఇప్పుడు మనమే అన్నీ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద పవర్ ఆఫ్ మోడీ గవర్నమెంట్. లాస్ట్ పాయింట్ ఏంటంటే ఆయన నిర్మలా సీతారామన్ గారిని ఒక మాట అన్నారు, మీరు డిఫెన్స్ కారిడార్ మాకెందుకు ఇవ్వరు, అక్కడ వెళ్ళి బుందేల్ఖండ్లో ఎందుకు పడేశారు, వాళ్ళకి ఇస్తే మీకు ఓట్లు వస్తాయనా అని అన్నారు. ఆయన చాలా తప్పు మాట్లాడారు అది కేటీఆర్ గారు. ఎందుకంటే బుందేల్ఖండ్లో పెట్టడానికి ఒక కారణం ఉంది. హైదరాబాద్లో ఆల్రెడీ బాగా ఏరోస్పేస్, డిఫెన్స్, పిఎస్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి, సెక్టర్ బాగుంది, స్ట్రాంగ్గా ఉంది. బుందేల్ఖండ్లో కూడా అక్కడ ఇంకా స్ట్రెంగ్థెన్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నారు. ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేశారు అంటే మనకి లాజిస్టికలీ లైన్ ఆఫ్ యాక్చువల్ కంట్రోల్కి వాటికి ఈజీగా మనము డిఫెన్స్ మెటీరియల్ మూవ్ చేయొచ్చు. అండ్ అక్కడ ఒక సర్క్యూట్ ఉంటుంది, ఆ సర్క్యూట్ ఈజ్ వెరీ క్లోజ్లీ అలైన్ టు ద గోల్డెన్ క్వాడ్రిలేటరల్ కనెక్టింగ్ ఢిల్లీ అండ్ కోల్కతా. సో మనకి అన్ని ఆపర్చునిటీస్ అక్కడ ఉన్నప్పుడు అక్కడ తీసుకెళ్లాలో తప్పేముంది? అంటే యాజ్ అ ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్ ఒక స్టేట్ బాగుండాలి, తెలంగాణనే బాగుండాలి అని ఈయన అనుకుంటే మోడీ గారు ఏమనుకుంటారు? అన్ని స్టేట్స్ ఈక్వల్గా బాగుండాలనుకుంటారు కదా. సో ఈక్విటబుల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ నచ్చదు మన కేటీఆర్ గారికి. సో ఆయన నా విన్నపం ఏంటంటే ఆయన తప్పులు మాట్లాడడం మానేయాలి. మిస్ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇచ్చి ప్రజల్ని మోడీ గవర్నమెంట్ని నిందించడం అనేది మానేయాలి అని నేను చెప్తున్నాను. అండ్ బీజేపీ తరఫున కూడా మేము చాలా ఖండిస్తున్నాము. అన్ని ఫోరమ్స్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి పొలిటికల్ ఫోరమ్స్ చేయొద్దని చెప్పదలుచుకున్నాం.